Well, it's my honor to be here to introduce to you Congressman Kendrick Meek, and I'm just going to share a few brief stories, if that's okay. First, I want to really recognize all of you for coming out today, and Helen Strain and I were in the back talking about recent elections, national, local, and so on. I said, you know, the exciting thing for me, having grown up in Gainesville and been active all these years, is that the student body continues to just get more involved, more progressive, more dedicated to protecting our future and standing for what is great in this city, this state, and this world. The nation's in there somewhere as well. So I want to thank you for coming out to support Congressman Kendrick Meek for U.S. Senate. Just a couple brief stories. I first got to know Kendrick Meek, I think, when he was working on the class size amendment. And looking at the faces in this room, I'm going to guess that many of you benefited from that in some way. When I was a kid growing up, it was not unusual to be in a classroom with 30, 35 students, and it was his hard work, as well as working on the voluntary pre-K, which I know my children are going to benefit from. So his dedication to Florida's children and Florida's family has been without parallel, and those have been hard statewide campaigns that involve reaching across the aisle and bringing in non-traditional allies, and standing up for those who don't always have a voice for themselves. The other brief anecdote, actually I have two other brief anecdotes. One is that I first knew Kendrick not through himself directly, but through the work of his mother, Congresswoman Carrie Meek, who is still beloved in South Florida, still very active in politics down there. When someone wants something done, they go to visit at the living room of Carrie Meek. But if you know Carrie Meek, you know that this is a fine human being, because she would not have raised someone who wasn't, just knowing her. The last thing I'll share is that many of you are probably like me, that Democratic primaries, you sort of, you know, are comfortable with most of the people in the race, would be willing to support any of the people in the race. You may have a preference one over the other, but you sort of sometimes want to sit back and wait and see what happens. But I made the decision to get in and support Kendrick Meek early, not because I don't like and respect and have affection for the other candidates. In fact, I do. I know them and I respect them, and they're good people. But the thing that really turned me, aside from knowing the hard work and dedication of Kendrick Meek, is that I had a conversation with some folks from South Florida, all local government officials, probably 10 of them, up in Washington. We were all there for a meeting on climate change. And I said, what's going to happen in the primary for U.S. Senate? And without hesitation, Democratic, Republican, young, old, Broward, Dade, Palm Beach, they all said, it's all about Kendrick Meek. I said, really? How do you come to that conclusion? They said, he's more dedicated, he's harder working, he'll appeal to more people, he'll raise more money. And I think the first reports actually have indicated all of that true. This is at least his second time in Gainesville in this already developing campaign, and that is great to us. Sometimes the statewide candidates have a hard time finding us, unless it's football season, then they all find us. But with no further ado, it's my great pleasure and honor to introduce to some and to present to others the Honorable Congressman Kendrick Meek, our next U.S. Senator.